Hi, my name's Gotlin and welcome to my Chinese takeaway cook along. Tonight we're going to be using our brand new Netherton round bottom wok. It's the 13-inch pre-seasoned. Can't wait to give it a spin. Netherton have been making these fantastic woks, and the sheer fact that it's pre-seasoned, which takes out so much hassle, is fantastic. So, and as you can see, I've got my little logo at the top as well, which I'm really pleased about. The recipe we're cooking tonight is my gluten-free king prawn and Chinese mixed vegetables. And you did hear right, so we're going to go completely gluten-free. One of the big questions that people have been asking me is, how do I cook Chinese food gluten-free? And I'm going to show you tonight just how easy it really is. So the ingredients you're going to need to make my gluten-free king prawn and Chinese mixed vegetables are some fish sauce, some Shaoxing wine or dry sherry, gluten-free soy sauce, some sesame oil, salt, white pepper, some oil, 350 ml of gluten-free stock, 2 spring onions, a carrot, some mushrooms, some broccoli florets, some Napa cabbage or Chinese leaf as it's known, 2 cloves of garlic, an onion, and not forgetting the star ingredient, which are my lovely raw deveined shelled king prawns. You'll also need 2 tablespoons of corn flour mixed with 4 tablespoons of water just to make a slurry. So the very first thing that we need to do is to make sure that all of our ingredients are chopped and ready to go, because once I get this wok hot, I cannot stop. And I know it rhymes, and I know it sounds a bit cheesy, but that's the truth of the matter. So once this is red hot and we're starting to fry, I need to pay full attention to what's going on in here. So first thing I'm going to do, I've got 2 garlic cloves. All I did was crush these so I could peel them, and I'm just going to run my chopper just through the garlic. So there's my garlic. I'm now going to chop my spring onion. Now in Chinese cookery, especially Cantonese, there are 3 main ingredients, which are garlic, ginger and spring onion. This dish, we've got the garlic and the spring onion. I'm just going to chop this on a slight angle to give me diagonal slithers rather than ringlets. There's my spring onion chopped nicely. With my onion, I'm going to chop these into cubes. So because these onions are only quite small, I'm just going to chop this one in half and then into cubes like that. With the broccoli, I like my broccoli cooked quite well, so I'm going to take this end off and chop that into maybe 3 pieces, actually 4 pieces, so it can cook nice and quick. And then actually it might be easier just to break the florets with your fingers, and it makes less mess as well. Let's take the end of this piece off and chop this. And again, I'll just break this into the individual little florets. So there's my broccoli chopped. My carrot, I'm going to cut on the diagonal. So I'm getting pieces that look like little half goldfish, I guess you can call them. So everything cooks really quickly in Chinese cuisine. So we've got to make sure that everything is cut approximately the same size. Mushrooms. That one's quite small, so maybe quarters. This one's slightly bigger, so a few more pieces out of this one. It does help if you've got a massive chopping board like me, or after you've chopped, just put them into their own individual little trays, and you can just pick them up as you need them to put them into your wok. And lastly, my Chinese leaf. Now the thick white piece, I'm going to chop into 2 centimetre pieces, and the leaf I'm going to leave slightly bigger and a bit chunkier. So there's my Chinese leaf, and that's everything prepped. Okay, so I need to get my wok on and smoking. Now because I'm using a carbon steel wok, I'm using the Netherton carbon steel wok, so I need to make sure it's red hot and smoking before I get my oil in. Don't put cold oil into a cold wok and then bring it up to heat, not when you're using carbon steel. If you're using a non-stick, no problems, but tonight we're not, and we're using a proper wok. So let's cook like a Chinaman. So the round bottom woks were designed because back in China and Hong Kong, they used to cook over a clay oven pit. So basically it was like a clay oven with a fire beneath it and a hole in the top where the wok would sit. They're designed to be mega thin because the heat then travels up the side of the woks, and that means we get a full cooking surface. Stir frying, which this is tonight, is a very quick process. It's all about capturing flavours and textures into the meat and vegetables that we're cooking. So that's why if we're cooking with chicken or pork or beef, they're cut into very, very small slithers or bite-sized slithers, and then they're marinated to make sure they're nice and tender. And then when they go in the wok, they literally cook within seconds. Veggies go in shortly afterwards and they cook in the same amount of time. Then by the time you've done your sauce, 5 minutes later, we've got a whole dish that feeds a family of 4 and with no hassle at all. The hard work in Chinese cookery is all the prep. But you saw just a minute ago, the prep took, what, 2 minutes? It just takes practice. The wok now has been on for a good 2 minutes, maybe even 3 minutes. I'm happy that that's going to be red hot and I can feel the heat radiating up towards my hand. Now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of oil. So, and you can see that it's smoking straight away. So to that, I'm going to add my spring onions and a sizzle along with my garlic, and I'm going to give that a quick stir. And then I'm going to get my onions in. Now this is just going to help me control the heat a little bit. Now you start to see that the veggies are starting to char and blacken. Now this is known as breath of the wok or charring. When you're cooking Chinese food, because you're cooking with intense heat, it's all about trying to get those caramelised flavours into the wok. I'm now going to add my king prawns. And I've got to be patient here. Give the king prawns time to cook. So they start going pink pretty much within 30 seconds to a minute. And you see, pre-seasoned. I mean, you just can't. The beauty of this wok, with it being pre-seasoned, it's non-stick. They've built up this patina already, and that's the layers of oil that help the wok, the things not to stick. And you've got to make sure that your wok is red hot. Otherwise it doesn't work. Okay, so the king prawns are about halfway cooked now. I'm going to add my carrot and my mushrooms. Now the reason I'm putting the veggies in stages is because you can hear the sizzle just starting to die down a little bit. The thing is, when we cook at home, we don't have that intense heat that you would get with a Chinese cooker. So therefore, we've got to cook things in stages because I've got to make sure that the heat is retained within the wok. So if I try and do this too quickly, we're going to end up boiling our food rather than frying it, okay? And this is a stir fry, so we've got to make sure that we're frying. Now, I'm going to not touch that now for a good minute and a half, and I just want that heat to start coming right back through. So it's had about 45 seconds so far. I've just got my salt and pepper ready. I'm going to get my broccoli florets through in a second. But again, I've just got to try and get that heat back into that wok before I start doing anything else. So let's give it another 20 seconds or so. Right, my wok's had a good 90 seconds, 2 minutes now just to come back up to heat. I'm now going to get my broccoli florets into the pan, along with half a teaspoon of salt and a pinch of white pepper. Now you want about 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm now just going to stir that through. Now by adding the salt and the pepper at this stage, it starts to draw some of the moisture out of the vegetables. I'm not going to do anything with that now for a good 60 seconds or so now. In a Chinese takeaway or restaurant, because the heat is so ferocious, you can literally keep moving this, okay? And it cooks so much quicker. Then by the time you get the stock in and it comes up to a bubble for a minute or two, your dish is cooked. Because I'm cooking on a little camp stove, it's going to take maybe a little bit longer than the 5 minutes that I said. But at home, on your largest gas ring, this is not going to be a problem at all. Right, this has had about another 90 seconds now. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir through. You can see now that the bright green of the broccoli is coming through. You can see the charred pieces of onion that we got. Okay, now it's time to add your gluten-free stock. Now this is vegetable stock. You can get gluten-free fish stock or chicken stock if you wish. There's 350 ml here. I'm going to start off by putting 250 ml in. Now I want this quite saucy. Now it's up to you how saucy you want. So I'm going to put in fact, why waste it? Let's put the whole 350 in because it makes a lovely sauce anyway. Now at this point, this is where we can start adding our wet ingredients. So our fish sauce, I'm going to put in around about a tablespoon of fish sauce into this. I am going to measure this out because it is quite potent and strong. So there's about a tablespoon of fish sauce going in, followed by about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of my gluten-free soy sauce. And we can adjust this seasoning once this comes up to the boil. So it's not quite up to the boil, but it's just coming up to a blip. So you can just see the blippiness going off now. Now I'm going to get in about a tablespoon of rice wine or dry sherry. This just gives it that pungent back note. And that might sound strange, but it tastes fantastic in this dish. The king prawns love rice wine. So that's about a tablespoon, so maybe just over, a capful anyway. Now I can get in, I'm just going to separate my chunky Chinese vegetable ends. I'll get those in first, and they can have 20 seconds before I get the leaves in. And straight away I can get that, I'm getting that pungent rice wine smell. Now I can get the leaves in. And once this comes up to the boil, I can then thicken the sauce and we'll be good to go. So while that's coming up to the boil, I'm just gonna massage my corn flour and water. What happens is, because this has been standing for a little while, it solidifies in the bottom and goes hard. So you can see that it's rock hard. So literally, very slowly, just start pinching it between your fingers and the mixture will start to loosen and dissolve again. Right, my sauce has come up to the boil. I don't want to overcook my veggies, so I'm just going to start slowly pouring in my corn flour mixture. Now you've got to make sure that you keep stirring the entire time, otherwise you're going to end up with clumps of corn flour which looks like snot basically. So and we don't want that, so we're just going to keep mixing this through, making sure that each piece of the veggie and king prawn is coated in sauce, and get it to a consistency that you're happy with. So you want it thick enough that it coats the veggies. And the very last thing we're going to do is turn off the heat, take your sesame oil and pour over approximately a teaspoon of sesame oil. And give that one final stir. And then we have it. My king prawn and Chinese mixed vegetable, completely gluten-free, cooked in my Netherton round bottom wok. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I do an Instagram live every Wednesday at 12 o'clock for primary school, Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2. And then again at 6:30 in the evening, I do a little cookery session for you guys. For more videos just like this one, please go to www.youtube.com/Gotlin Wan, which is spelt just like that. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Until next time, see you later.